Hey there, my friend. Have you ever sat at home, maybe sipping your evening tea or watching your favorite show and wondered, what would I do if someone tried to mess with me? Or maybe you've seen those crime shows and thought, that could never happen to me, right? Well, let's be real, it could. But here's the good news. You don't need a black belt or a fortress to keep yourself safe. Today, I'm sharing 10 practical and actually doable self-defense strategies to help you stay safe at home. Think of this as a warm chat between friends, where I share some street-smart tips, a few laughs, and a whole lot of wisdom that'll help you sleep better at night. Number 1. Get a loud, barky dog, or at least a barky doorbell. You know, I've always said that the best alarm system has 4 legs and a wagging tail, and I'm not alone. A neighbor of mine, old Joe down the street, got himself a feisty little terrier a couple of years ago. Best investment I ever made, he tells me every time we chat. That dog has lungs on him, let me tell you. Anytime someone so much as rattles the gate, he sounds like a police siren crossed with a chainsaw. The beauty of a dog like that is they're like your own personal security detail that doubles as a companion. I mean, who doesn't want a buddy who's always on duty? Even if you're not a dog person, maybe you've got allergies or your landlord's a real stickler, you can still get the effect without the fur. One lady on Reddit swears by her barking dog alarm, a little gizmo that sits by her front door and belts out a convincing bark whenever someone steps onto her porch. She says it's enough to make the Amazon guy jump out of his socks, let alone any would-be troublemaker. What I love about this strategy is that it's both practical and comforting. A bark, even a fake one, makes a burglar think twice. They'd rather move onto a house that's quieter than a library at midnight. And if you've got a real dog, give them a treat, teach them to bark on command, and maybe let them sleep by the door at night. It's like giving them a little deputy's badge, and they'll be proud to wear it. 2. Fortify doors and windows like a pro, but keep it subtle. Let me tell you a little story about my cousin Paul. A couple of years ago, he thought his old wooden front door was solid enough, until one afternoon when someone gave it a kick and popped it open like a can of Pringles. Paul's no fool, though. He learned his lesson fast. He went on YouTube, joined a couple of home security forums, and turned his front door into the Great Wall of China without spending a fortune. Here's what he did. First, he swapped out the screws in the strike plate for 3-inch screws that bite deep into the door frame. Let me tell you, those factory screws that come with the door are basically toothpicks. The long screws made that door so tough it would take a battering ram to get through it. Then, he added a simple door jammer, a little metal bar that wedges under the handle. One night, Paul's neighbor tried to surprise him with a plate of cookies, knocked politely, then tried the handle. That door didn't budge an inch, even with a gentle nudge. Paul said it was like having a personal bouncer at the door. It's funny how a small, cheap fix can make such a difference. Those 3-inch screws probably cost him less than a fancy coffee, but they gave him, and me, when he told me about it, a whole lot of peace of mind. And don't even get me started on the windows. A dowel rod in the track of a sliding window or patio door is an absolute game changer. Some guy in a forum joked that the dowel was his wooden security system, and you know what? He's not wrong. 3. Light up like Times Square, but smarter. You know what's scarier to a burglar than a barking dog or a strong door? A floodlight that snaps on just as they're creeping up your driveway. It's like that scene in a movie when the villain freezes, caught in the spotlight, except it's your house and you're the director. My neighbor Sheila, she's 72 going on 30, put one of those motion sensor floodlights on her porch last year. She said it was the best $50 she ever spent. First night it was up. Some guy slinking around the neighborhood triggered it. She said he looked like a deer in the headlights before bolting faster than a kid who'd just broken a window. But Sheila didn't stop there. She got smart lights too, connected to an app on her phone. She showed me one day, all proud, she can turn her living room lights on from the grocery store. "No one's gonna know I'm not home," she cackled. And she's right. Her place looks lively even when she's halfway to the bingo hall. I took a page from her book myself. I put a little motion light by the back door because, let's face it, burglars aren't always polite enough to come to the front. And let me tell you, it's comforting knowing that any shady character poking around is gonna get lit up like they just stepped onto a Broadway stage. What I love about this strategy is that it's more than just scaring people off. It also keeps you safe when you're fumbling for your keys or checking on that suspicious noise at 2 a.m. Because the last thing you want is to be startled by a raccoon rummaging through your trash. Trust me, I speak from experience. 4. Fake it like you're home, even when you're not. Let me tell you about my friend Gloria. She's 78, lives alone, and is sharper than a tack. A while back, she decided to visit her daughter in another state for a few days. Now, Gloria's not the type to leave anything to chance, so she set her place up like a Broadway stage before she left. Lamps on timers, a TV flickering in the living room, and even her old pair of sneakers by the front door. She calls it her Home Alone routine. And let me tell you, it's a masterpiece. When she told me about it, I laughed and said, "Gloria, are you expecting the wet bandits or what?" She winked and said, "Better safe than sorry, sweetheart." Turns out she'd read online, some forum where seniors share home safety tips, that burglars look for signs that a place is empty, no lights, no noise, and a mailbox stuffed to the brim. Gloria's got all that covered. She even leaves her radio on low volume, tuned to a talk station so it sounds like a heated argument's happening inside. No one wants to break into a house full of people arguing politics, she joked. And you know what? She's right. A house that looks and sounds lived in is like kryptonite to crooks. It's not rocket science, but it works. I started doing it myself after hearing Gloria's story. When I head out, I make sure the lights come on at dusk and go off at a reasonable hour. Nothing fancy, just those cheap timers you can get at the hardware store. And I leave a mug on the kitchen counter, like I just stepped away for a second. It's the little things that make a place look lived in and keep the wrong kind of visitors away. 5. Keep the peephole, lose the surprises. Now let's talk about the peephole. Remember those old spy movies where the hero peeks through a hole in the wall to see who's coming? That's not just Hollywood. It's common sense. My neighbor Tony, a retired trucker with hands like dinner plates, once opened the door without checking. Some guy claimed he was from the water company and needed to check the pipes. Tony's no fool, but he's a polite guy. He let the guy in, and guess what? The guy turned out to be a smooth-talking scam artist who tried to sell him a water filter system for a cool $1,000. After that, Tony installed one of those wide-angle peepholes. Now he checks every visitor like they're applying for a top-secret security clearance. It's like having a crystal ball, he says. I couldn't agree more. I took it a step further and got myself one of those video doorbells. It's the best of both worlds. I can see who's there without even getting off the couch, and I can talk to them through the speaker. One time, I was on the couch in my PJs, and some guy showed up trying to sell me windows. I tapped the app and said, "No thanks, buddy." And he skedaddled so fast he nearly tripped over his clipboard. It's not about being rude, it's about staying safe. A peephole or a camera gives you control over who you let in. It's your home after all, and if someone's legit, they won't mind waiting a few seconds while you check them out. It's like they say, trust, but verify. 6. Learn to say no thanks with confidence. Let's face it, saying no thanks can be harder than it sounds. My cousin Edna is the sweetest soul you'll ever meet, but she'd invite a vacuum cleaner salesman inside for a cup of tea if he smiled the right way. One time, a smooth talker came by selling miracle roof coating, and Edna was halfway through writing a check before she realized he didn't even have a business card. So I sat her down and said, "Edna, you've got to learn to say no. Firm, polite, and with that no-nonsense grandma look you give the grandkids when they ask for a second piece of cake." We practiced in the mirror together. "No thanks. I'm not interested." Please leave." At first, she giggled like we were rehearsing for a play. But then she got serious. She realized that confidence in your voice can be just as powerful as a lock on the door. It's not about being mean, it's about setting boundaries. A good scam artist can smell uncertainty like a dog smells bacon. But if you stand tall, look them in the eye, or through the peephole, and say, "No thanks," most will turn tail and head for easier prey. Edna's a pro now. Last week, a guy tried to sell her some solar panels. She opened the door just a crack, said, "No thanks," and closed it like a boss. She called me afterward, practically glowing with pride. "I did it," she said. And I swear I could hear the theme song from Rocky playing in the background. 7. Know your neighbors. They're part of your safety net. You know, when I was a kid, everyone on our street knew each other. If you sneezed too loud, Mrs. Green from across the way would send over a bowl of chicken soup before you even reached for the Kleenex. But somewhere along the way, folks got busy, doors got locked, and neighborhoods got quieter. But here's the thing. Knowing your neighbors is one of the best self-defense strategies out there, and it doesn't cost a dime. Take my friend Charlie, for example. He's 75, a retired postman who's seen it all. A couple of months ago, Charlie spotted a stranger fiddling with his neighbor's gate. Instead of minding his own business, Charlie ambled over and gave the guy the old postman's stare, that look that says, "I know every dog on this street and every mailbox too." Turns out the guy was trying to find his lost cat, but Charlie's presence alone was enough to let him know the whole neighborhood was watching. Having neighbors who've got your back is like having a free security system. They'll notice if your paper's piling up or if your curtains are drawn at odd hours. They'll pick up your mail if you're away. They'll check in if they see someone shady hanging around. And in turn, you can do the same for them. I always say a neighborhood that talks is a neighborhood that's tough to mess with. Even if you're not a social butterfly, a simple wave or a quick, "Hey, how are you?" goes a long way. It's like planting little seeds of trust that grow into a safety net. Because let's face it, when trouble shows up, it's good to know someone nearby will notice if something's not right. 8. Have a code word? Yes, like the secret agent movies. Alright, let's talk code words, like something out of a James Bond flick, right? But hear me out. My friend Linda swears by this trick, and she's no secret agent. She's a retired librarian with a heart of gold. She came up with a simple word, sunshine, that she shares only with her closest family and neighbors. One night, Linda's daughter called her and said she was sending a friend over to pick up something. Linda, being cautious, asked for the code word. When the guy knocked on the door and said, "Your daughter said to pick this up," Linda smiled sweetly and asked, "What's the sunshine today?" The guy stammered, "Huh?" and took off down the steps like he'd seen a ghost. That's the power of a code word, my friend. It's a simple, secret way to confirm that someone really is who they say they are. Whether it's a friend, a relative, or even someone claiming to be from the utility company, a code word makes sure you're not opening your door to just anyone. It's easy to set up too. Pick something memorable, but not too obvious. Nothing that's going to pop up in everyday conversation. And make sure everyone who needs to know has it written down somewhere safe. Because when the chips are down, that little word might be the difference between a safe encounter and a dangerous one. 9. Learn basic self-defense at any age. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm not about to turn into Bruce Lee at my age. And that's fair. But let me tell you, self-defense isn't about high kicks and fancy flips. It's about feeling confident in your own skin. Take my neighbor Ruth, for instance. She's 80 years young, about 5 feet tall, and walks with a cane. But last year, she signed up for a seniors self-defense class at the local community center. She learned how to stand her ground, use her voice, and my favorite part, use that cane like a medieval knight's sword if she had to. Ruth told me the instructor showed her that self-defense is mostly about awareness and attitude. One night, she told me she was walking home from bingo and heard footsteps behind her. Instead of panicking, she turned, squared her shoulders, and said, "Can I help you?" in that voice she uses when telling off telemarketers. Whoever was behind her must have realized she wasn't an easy target and walked the other way. That's the thing. Self-defense at our age is about being prepared, not paranoid. It's about standing tall, trusting your gut, and maybe learning a few moves to break a grip or create space if needed. I always tell folks it's like learning how to swim. You might never have to use it, but it sure feels good knowing you can. 10. Trust your gut. It's smarter than you think. Let me wrap this up with the most important point of all. Trust your gut. You know that feeling in your stomach that says something's not quite right? That's your body's own personal alarm system, and it's been honed over a lifetime of experiences. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories, on forums, from friends, about seniors who felt something was off, only to find out later they'd narrowly avoided a scam or a break-in. My friend Bob always says, if it feels fishy, it probably is. A few months back, Bob was home alone when someone knocked on his door, claiming to be from the electric company. They didn't have a uniform or a badge, just a clipboard and a nervous smile. Bob's gut told him something was fishy, so he politely said he'd call the company to confirm. Sure enough, they'd never sent anyone out. Your instincts are like a security guard that never sleeps. If you get that tingle in your neck or that twist in your gut, listen to it. Whether it's a phone call that seems too good to be true, a stranger at the door, or even a friend of a friend who makes you uneasy, trust yourself enough to take a step back and double-check. Because at the end of the day, all the locks and alarms in the world can't replace that little voice inside you saying, "Hold on a second, this doesn't feel right." That voice is your greatest ally. Listen to it, and you'll always be one step ahead of trouble. So there you have it, my friend. 10 down-to-earth, real-life self-defense strategies that can help you feel safer and more confident at home. Remember, it's not about living in fear, it's about living smart. From getting to know your neighbors to trusting your gut, these small steps can make a big difference. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried any of these tips? Or maybe you've got a story of your own about staying safe at home. Drop a comment below and let's share some wisdom with each other. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss a new video. Stay safe, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.